All right, well, thank you. I'm super excited to be here with all of you today talking about health and wellness. That is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I just want to talk a little bit about today about one way that you can support staff wellness at your school. Here's a little bit about the school where I work, and don't be intimidated by the fact that our school is small, but because my presentation and these ideas could really easily be adapted to a school of any size. Um, so go on to the next slide. I'll just go on. Okay, so why would you want to support teacher and staff wellness? Well, I got to move my thing. All right, so everyone knows that teachers and school staff are protective of emotional well-being of not just students, but of everybody that works together. Who wouldn't want to work in an environment where their feelings and ideas are heard and respected? This next one says that 93% of teachers are concerned about student mental health. I'm not sure why that's not 100%, but that's a statistic that I read. And especially during this time of COVID right now, teacher turnover rate is at an all-time high. I read a statistic that said 1 of every 5 teachers are thinking about getting out of education, and those are not just teachers who are ready for retirement. They're just teachers who are really overwhelmed and stressed out, and not really knowing what to do to get their jobs done, which I firmly believe that everybody shows up to work wanting to do the best job that they can, but sometimes it's just hard for people to figure out where to go to accomplish that goal. So this is about taking care of each other. What do you need to find out to be able to take care of each other? And it's kind of like that song that Bill Withers sang, Lean on Me. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. You might have a problem that I'll understand. So tell me about it, and let's go forward. So next slide, please. So here we have a pretty comprehensive health and wellness plan at Creed that does include staff wellness. Go on to the next one. Please. I asked around at conferences. I read books. I asked people about what can you do to promote staff wellness, and I really wasn't getting a lot of really good feedback anymore. Some of the things that we tried at our school, we have been using the AIM process, which the CRUSH team promotes for many years, where you want to collect some data, identify what your needs for, and then make a plan to make it happen. So I just aimed to apply that towards our staff wellness plan as well. We had done culture and climate surveys at our school. As you know, if you've done surveys, you can't make people fill that out. And we were getting only about 20% response rate. And so I didn't feel like we were really reaching 100% of our staff and our teachers, and wanted to find another way. So I'm going to talk to you about what that other way that we came up with was here in just a minute. I had done goodie bags that I thought were great. They had back scratchers and books and sunscreen and granola bars and all kinds of stuff. We did all kinds of team building exercises. And after a while, people were kind of straight up telling me they didn't want any more of that stuff. So I just kind of kept talking to people to try to figure out what we could try next to really figure out what people need. Okay, go on. Go on, Carla. All right, so we had done some listening sessions with students at our school that I felt like were really productive and gave us amazing feedback. So I wanted to be sure and include staff in that process. We just were trying to figure out a way to help decrease their stress and anxiety and increase teacher and student performance, and to decrease some disruptive behaviors. So what we decided to do was to do a one-on-one listening sessions with all of our employees, and we did them for an hour each. I really do recommend an hour. I found that it took normally about the first 30 minutes to get to the real meat of what people wanted and needed to tell me. So I do recommend that it be an hour, but if you don't have an hour, do 30 minutes. It's better than doing nothing. Our goal was that we really wanted to connect with everybody, to really focus on listening to what they needed, and to get some really good feedback for that, so that everybody's voice was heard. I asked the administrators if they would cover the teachers' class time so they didn't have to lose their precious planning time. I really only had one teacher that did not want to give up, that didn't want to do it that way. She wanted to do it after school, and so I let her do that. And then following the listening sessions that I did with all of our employees, we had 3 follow-up meetings with our health team and our admin team to make sure that we came up with a plan for action. Okay, go on to the next slide. So before I get into my to-do list, I want to say this about the listening session. So when somebody asks you, how are you doing? What's your first response normally? You say, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm great. You just tell them probably what you think they want to hear. And if you're walking down the hall in a school and you say to people over and over all day long, hey, how are you? Hey, how's it doing? Don't you kind of hope that they say that they're fine because you want to keep on going and get on to what you were about to do? So the listening sessions are about taking the time to say, no, really, how are you doing? Do you have the tools to get your job done? Do you have everything in place to be successful in your job? So before we started on these listening sessions, I made up a to-do list for myself, and I'm sharing it with you here. The first thing you have to do is pick a facilitator. Ideally, it would be someone that they know and they trust. I've worked and lived in the Creed community for over 30 years, not solidly there, but accumulatively for over 30 years. So some of the people I had known for that long. There also were people that I met at the listening session for the very first time. They didn't know me at all. So everybody didn't know me and everybody didn't trust me. But you kind of have to take some time. It's one reason it takes an hour, because you've got to spend some time just building that relationship a little bit. One of the things that I did prior to the sessions was to meet with the admin team to make sure that everybody knew and we were all on the same page about what we were going to try to accomplish and what our goals were, and agree that we were going to listen to what everybody said in a non-judgmental way, and then come up with a plan for action. So once we agreed on that, then I created a schedule. I recommend that you don't do more than 4 listening sessions per day. One of the reasons for that is that you want to make sure this is really focused listening, and it really, you have to pay a lot of attention to your body language and your tone of voice, and how you respond to what they say is really important to getting really good and accurate feedback. And so I couldn't do more than 4 a day and maintain that. And so if you don't feel like you can be a really good intensive listener for more than 4 hours a day, don't schedule more than 4. For me, that was the maximum. I think 3 would even be more probably advisable. Okay, so we sent a letter then out to all the staff and the teachers explaining to them what we were going to do. I was going to send them an email shortly after that to set up the schedule. So I prefaced that by sending them an email to explain, because we had never done this before, what we were doing. And I'm happy to send everybody a copy of the letters that I sent out, that you could use as a guide if you would like that. I'm really happy to do that. Let's see. So you have to be careful that these don't all become like a gripe session. You want to really propose it as a problem-solving approach, which is, I think that we were able to accomplish that mostly. As far as anonymity goes with what they discuss with you, if you work in a small school, sometimes it's going to be really obvious who said something to you, but I told them that as much as possible, I would try to protect their anonymity, but you can't promise that, because it's people that work closely together know each other and they just kind of figure it out. But I didn't name names when I went back with the feedback. So my goal was to make sure that I communicated what I heard following the listening sessions, and I committed to all the staff to follow through with things that they told me. Then you want to make sure and have your admin meetings on the schedule so that you can come up with a long-term plan. Next slide, please. Okay, I did a lot of reading about being a good listener. I think with some people I'm a good listener, and with some people I may not be that much, but do a lot of reading about it. I really recommend that, about what that looks like, what that sounds like, and what that feels like prior to doing that. If you can do that, it'll really help you a lot and give you a lot of tips. There's lots of YouTubes, there's TED Talks, there's lots of information on Google. Businesses have been doing these listening sessions for a long time. It's just kind of a new thing as far as I know in a school system. So I would recommend that. And then make sure that you find a place that's nice and quiet and private to talk with people. It varied. I either did it in their classroom, I did it in the break room, I did it in the nurse's office if that was the best spot. Just whatever, make it work for you and make it work for the person that you're meeting with. A place that you can talk where neither of you are going to be interrupted for a solid hour or 30 minutes if that's what you end up doing. I made sure that I sent everybody a reminder. Well, first of all, I sent them an email and said, here are the dates and times that I could meet. Let me know which one will work for you. And some of them emailed me back. Some of them didn't. And if they didn't, I would hunt them down and go to them in person with my calendar in my hand and say, I've got this time, or this time. Which one do you like to have? I didn't really give them a choice on whether to do it or not. And that worked out really good. So I put them in there. I sent them a reminder the day before to make sure that it didn't get lost in the cloud of everything else that was going on with them. So when you do the sessions, you want to make sure that you really take your time. You want to maintain eye contact with them as much as possible. You want to be sure and listen without judgment, and don't try to fix it in the moment. Just listen. You want to not make them any promises about what you're going to do next, but to follow through with trying to help get in place what they have requested. I took notes, but I took them real discriminately. I didn't write down word for word what everybody said. I just took really the briefest note possible, either in the moment or immediately following that, so that I had notes on what people said to me. Another really important thing is you don't really know what's going to come up in these listening sessions, so you want to be ready to refer them, if necessary, to somebody who has more skill and expertise in counseling or mental health services. If there is a need that is immediate, you do not want to wait, and you want to sit there with that person until they get the accurate help and support that they need. That doesn't happen very often, but that has happened to me once before, not in these listening sessions, but in the past, I was talking with a teacher who had a serious mental health need and really needed some support. And I made sure that you just want to make sure that you have the phone numbers in hand in case you need to pull that out and help them go the direction that they need for the correct mental health support if that becomes necessary. Another thing you want to consider is I found that these, for me personally, were sometimes tough. When people are sharing their heart with you, they were sometimes crying. I was crying. I was just so touched that they were willing to be so honest and share their hearts with me, that they can be pretty intense. So you want to consider that as well. Another reason not to schedule more than 4 a day. Okay, go on to the next slide. So these are some questions that I asked. I didn't ask everybody exactly these questions in this order. I had this list in front of me where they couldn't see it, just as a prompt for myself to keep the conversation going. I tried to at least get the gist of these questions, but you don't want to make it feel like it's an interview. You want to make it feel like it's not even necessarily a conversation, but you're just prompting them for speaking to you. So other kinds of questions besides these that I may have worded it like, what do you need to help make your job more successful? Or I would say, when you leave at the end of the day, what do you think about? What do you think, wow, if only this and this would have happened, my day would have gone a lot easier. So they're all different from each other. So you can't make it feel like the questions are set in stone, because the conversations are not, you don't really know once you get started where it's going to lead. I just had these in front of me as a guide for me to help me keep the conversation going. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so I had some really interesting responses, and some of these are before we started the listening sessions, and some of them are after. One thing that almost everybody else was asking me was, what do I need to prepare? Well, nothing. We're just going to have a conversation. It's really different for people to be the speaker and not the listener. Most people are used to sitting down in an in-service or a teacher evaluation, for instance, and having somebody tell them things. This is about them being the speaker. And so it's a flip-flop of what they're used to, and really different. One person said to me, well, I'm not a very good listener. And I said, that's okay. I'm going to be the listener this time. You're going to be the one talking to me. Or they would say, what do you want to tell me about? What, you know, like, why are we meeting? It would make them feel a little nervous. I've been a principal in this school. And so I didn't want them to feel like they were coming to the principal's office, like I was going to tell them something. And so you have to just keep explaining, this is new, this is different. This is for you to talk to me and to tell me what you need, not for me to tell me what I need from you. One of the things that I did was I got everybody a $10 gift card from the local grocery store. And $10 may not sound very much, but they didn't know I was going to do that. And it was kind of just a thank you for their time at the end. And everybody really, really liked and appreciated that. So I was really glad. I was glad that I did that. And they just all really liked it. One gentleman said, well, I may have to have 3 of these. And I said, that's okay. You let me know if you want to get together again. I'm ready to listen whenever you need it. Next slide, please. Okay, so I found that there, in the process, there were some common themes across the board that were important for our admin team to know about. There also were many, many individual needs. This is about differentiated support. Everybody that you meet is dealing with something. And this is about figuring out what that something is and figuring out a plan to attend to it. So some of the needs were immediate. I didn't wait for the admin meeting all the time. Sometimes I went straight to the principal or straight to the superintendent and said, this just came up, you need to know about this right now. Some were longer term needs, and those all waited for us to meet together as a group. But we did meet together as a group, and we came up with a kind of a what I call a roadmap with a plan for the common themes and the individual needs, and about where we were going to take it from there. When we met together, I grouped it together as this is, so that I didn't mention names. This is what the elementary teachers are concerned about. This is what the middle school teachers are. This is what the high school teachers are concerned about, because they were quite different from each other. It also was quite different what the custodians needed, what the kitchen staff needed, what the front desk office staff needed to help reduce their stress and anxiety. So when I talked and presented it to the admin team, I kind of clumped it together that way to so that they couldn't narrow it down to an individual person. I'll tell you that I did have to, this is new for admin to hear this too. And so I had to help them learn to listen without judgment and not be defensive about what was happening. But this was all a process to help everybody be more productive and successful, including them. And so you might have to, don't be surprised if you have a kind of calm them down a little bit when you start presenting the material. I know I did, even though I had 100% support around this idea, but it's a little sensitive when they start hearing some of the things. Next slide, please. Next. Oops, wait, you skipped a couple. We missed a couple. Yeah, that's the one I need. So this is a look at where our roadmap for action is sitting right now. The green are all things that are completed. We've got them in place. Yellow is we have a plan, but it's not quite there. Red is we still need some time to figure that out. So as you look at this, you can see there are many of these things that were free and cost nothing. There were some of these things that required some financial support. Everything from the high school teachers said our passing periods are too long and kids are getting into trouble. They don't need that much time. And so we did that this year. Things about the bathroom, things about discipline that teachers felt like would work better. The auto class, for instance, on there they felt like they didn't have enough time to really get anything done in 45 minutes to work on a car. So we lengthened the auto class schedule. The teachers wanted a quiet place to go rest outside of their classroom or to work outside of their classroom just to get a change of scenery. Everything from we need more help making copies to my favorite one I'm really super excited about is the very bottom one, where we added health to our master schedule as a required class to graduate from high school starting in this school year. That came from our school nurse and from our health team, and we got that in place. Yay for health and wellness. I'm really excited about that one. We had our 3rd and 4th grade was combined together. This isn't even on there. And the teacher said, those grades are so different from each other. We've got to split those classes apart, which we did. So that one was a financial cost. A lot of this cost nothing, but it gave us great gains in helping reduce people's stress and anxiety. And that's what this is all about. So this is a copy of where we are. It's a work in progress. We're still challenged by this, especially with COVID. And I feel like at the beginning of school, all we could think about was COVID. And now that it's November, I'm just saying, let's get back to our plans. Let's get back to all the other stuff. Let's not let drop the great things that we had going and the momentum for that. I don't want to lose that. So, okay, next. Okay, so the pictures, where'd the pictures go? I had a picture of our break room, but it's not in there. We did beautify by our area where teachers could go have some time by putting a big beautiful mural on the wall. We added coffee and snacks and hot teas and a Thera wand where they could massage themselves, and a way that they could play soothing sound. Ah, there it is. Yeah, there's our beautiful mural. That just used to be stack of bookshelves on these walls that were outdated materials. And so we just threw all that away, got rid of stuff we weren't using, and we made this little kind of place that teachers could go and grade papers or work on their emails, or we do student assessments in here too. But now we're working on teachers finding the time to go in there, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, these listening sessions are just about taking care of each other and taking care of other people and making sure that their physical and their environmental and their social and emotional needs are met. I hope that it would be something that you would give a try. If you have any questions about that, feel free to email me. I'll help you how I can. And look up the lyrics to Bill Withers' song, Lean on Me. You don't want to hear me sing it, but the lyrics are great. And it's kind of the attitude that I hope you would apply toward the listening sessions. Good luck. Let me know if I can help you.
For more information about Project ECHO and upcoming ECHOs with the University of Denver, please visit morgridge.du.edu/ECHO or follow us on Twitter at ECHO_DU_MCE. Thanks for watching.